What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the iOS dev podcast. A little different this time. It's a solo episode. I am in Colombia right now, in Santa Marta. If you're familiar with it, it's like on the coast. Pretty cool. Pretty nice place. Just been exploring, trying to do some work, trying like the digital nomad thing, seeing if I like it or not, and trying to also like rest and relax because I work a little bit too much when I'm back home. So trying to chill a little bit. So the first thing I want to talk about is like what I've been working on because I've been working on a few things that I haven't really mentioned. I'm not I'm not big on talking about what I'm actually doing. I just like doing it first and then actually talking about it. But one of them is a Siembra app. The idea behind it is like a health and wellness app that I'm building out for a founder, and I'm actually on the team. It's four of us, and the app in the first iteration is gonna be a habit tracker. And the idea is evolve from that into something that can help people not just with their habits, but like kind of change your life around because your habits are fundamental in your life. Like your habits basically create your life, right? Why? Hopefully you understand. If not, maybe you should look into that. And yeah, like the main founder, she's a behavioral therapist down in Miami. And I actually know her for a while, like since high school. And yeah, actually, all of us on the team are know each other from high school. And yeah, we all play different roles, and it's been kind of fun and interesting to build that out because I ran into interesting roadblocks that aren't even related to coding or anything. Like it's Apple LLC stuff, LLC stuff in general. We ran into roadblocks there, but the app is ready to launch, and I was hoping to have it launched by the time this came out, but I'm in Colombia and Apple doesn't allow me access into the organization account because I don't have access to my phone number. So they're sending me a code and I can't get the code because I don't have access to the text messages to the number since I'm out of the country. And I tried to troubleshoot it through the options they give you, but that's not working. But yeah, so that's the status on that. In the edit, I'll add some overviews of the MVP of the app. It's pretty simple. It's just like a habit tracker, right? And gives you options to create a habit. You can have like a category for it, a purpose, and you can select your frequency that you want to do the habit. And we also have like the details and the calendar, charting your data. We're not charting it, but you can kind of see your historical data. And we're actually so one of the things we're doing with that is applying to YC. So that'll be super interesting because that's the second time applying to YC. And hopefully this time around will be different. It's with a team, which makes it a lot better because I mean, it's not a lot, that whole application, but it takes off so much pressure when you have multiple people and they're doing other things that kind of alleviate the process because you can just kind of focus on like the putting out the tech and make sure everything is functioning well. So I'll keep you guys updated on that, and I'll keep you updated on the release. Will probably be once I'm back in the States, which won't be that long from now. I've also worked on a few indie apps, but those are just some things I tinker with and play around with, just solving some of my problems or ideas that come to me. And I'll be trying to release one soon. I missed the September thing. The co- I missed the September thing. I'm working on the Siembra app, so that I missed that. And actually, for the Siembra app, I had to do a core data to Swift data whole rewrite because I think it made a lot more sense. So I went with that. Lastly, the two big things that I've worked on and that you guys have seen is like the podcast itself. Like this is, I believe this is episode like 18, I don't remember, or 19. And it's been pretty good. I've been enjoying it. I've had like weekly episodes for like 2, 3 months now. So that's good. Been trying to keep it consistent. Um, and it's been a lot of fun actually to speak to devs from around the community. Let me know what you guys think so far. Let me know if there's anyone you want to see on the show. I am always open and interested in talking to devs and just hearing out what they're working on, how they became a dev. Just interesting, whatever anything interesting they got to say. Like I'm willing to check it out. And in terms of the future, I'm gonna keep it going. I might not be pushing it as much, not pushing as much, but I might not be doing as much with the podcast because it's very time consuming, and I'm trying to. If I find a sponsor, then I would definitely be investing more time into it. But I also need to be like working on things that I kind of want to. What's the word? That can support me financially, which this may be able to like down the line in the future, right? But given that I left my job not too long ago, I do need to focus on making sure that I am on top of like the finances and I actually have streams of income coming in. So that's just something I wanted to note for the podcast. Yeah, that's that's a bunch of talking about me and just what I've been up to. Let me know if you have any comments or feedback or just anything you want to say. Maybe you hate the work I do, so just let me know down below. One topic that I really wanted to hit with this podcast is what would I do if I was starting today and I wanted to become an iOS developer? And the first thing I would do, and pretty much I think this is the only thing you have to do, to be honest, if you want to become an iOS developer, is just start coding every day and just don't stop. Like literally, if you do that, then you will eventually become a developer. Of course, assuming that you don't just code the same like basic project, like where you just display a button or something. But if you just keep coding, iterating, trying to build ideas that come to your head or ideas from a friend or something, that process of just doing it, the habit of doing it daily, and you don't have to do it daily to me. You can do it at at least 5 days a week, I would say, because I know like take a break one day, you deserve it. So yeah, that alone of coding every single day. I'm gonna say every single day, but it's not literally every single day. But that process of just coding daily and constantly, that's gonna do two huge things for you. It's gonna create a huge backlog or a huge pool of projects and code that you can always use for your future apps. And let's say you make a to-do list and down the line, you need something that has a to-do list. Or let's say you bring in Firebase into one of your projects and down the line, you need Firebase in another project. You can always reference that. You don't have to directly copy and paste. Maybe you copy and paste parts of it and you can improve upon it and put it into your new project. And it just speeds up the process and you just start getting better and better at that. And the other thing that it will do is it'll force you to learn different frameworks and also different ideas and paradigms because you'll run into issues while you're building out things and you'll have to look it up and problem solve. And you need to make sure that you don't just drop a project because you hit a wall and like because then you'll end up just having 100,000 projects and none of them are completed because you hit a wall and you stopped on all of them. So that's something to note as well. And And yeah, like just that is like the major thing. And like to be honest, the only thing. That's like the only thing, right? But I have a few more because I know you guys probably want to hear more than that. Like, but that's to be honest, that's all you would need to do. Just just start coding every day and don't stop. The second thing I would do though, even though I just said you only have to do the first one, but the second thing I would do is I would start posting my what is you could say your experience, but people aren't gonna care that much about your experience because you don't have any, right? But what I something really interesting or cool would be posting. Let's say you solve this problem, like let's say you run into a problem, right? You look it up on Google, Stack Overflow, YouTube, all of ChatGPT, right? And let's say you look it up on all of them, and there isn't any one who's like really asked or talked about the particular thing you are looking for. And let's say you solve that or you come up with your own solution, then I would definitely post about that somewhere somehow. Like depending on what you're most comfortable with, I would challenge you to get out your comfort zone. But if you're like more of a writing type, maybe you write a Medium article or some kind of blog article. Maybe you create a YouTube tutorial on that, and yeah, you could just do that for all the projects. I mean, you're coding daily, right? So you're gonna have some projects, and you're gonna be solving some problems that are pretty tricky and pretty complex. So if you come up with your own cool and neat solution, just put it out there, like let people know, and that'll be a way of sharing your experiences, and you can share what you build along with that. And something interesting that Eugene Brezen mentioned in one of the episodes of the iOS Dev podcast, I believe he's 16, one of the episodes with Eugene. The link to it will be in the description. He mentioned that if you're starting out, you could just start streaming the learning process or streaming while you're like building out a project or learning daily. And that's interesting. And I don't know if I would do that personally, but that's a very interesting approach. And I mean, if you do that for a year, you'll be good developed. You'll get there. I just wanted to mention that because that's an interesting idea. You guys could share that episode, by the way. It's very helpful for those who want to get into iOS development as like a job or further their career. And one thing to note too, like just because there's solutions out there doesn't mean that you can't post about it. Like you can, to be honest, especially for like your initial things that you post about, you can post about things that have already been talked about because you just got to get comfortable with that process of putting stuff out there. So don't feel don't feel scared or hesitant to do that. The third thing I would do is I would be more strategic with the application process and where I end up as an iOS developer. And that is a process that doesn't require any development or coding, but it's more of like a reflection process and thinking about what do you want out of iOS development or what do you don't want out of it. And based off of that, you can kind of start formulating your strategy you want to take. Like if you just want a job, that's something that I didn't really do in my journey. And not that it was very bad, but it's just the more strategic you are, the better place you can be in and situation you could be in. And I know for putting out a strategy, it could be tough because if you're like in a position where you need an iOS job today or ASAP because you need like a stream of income, then it may be tricky, especially after like let's say when you're trying to become a developer, you're gonna have like at least a few months of just applying and rejection, rejection, rejection. But holding to your strategy will be better in the long run. It will be a lot better in the long run because then you'll most likely end up in a place where it'll be a culture fit and you also will be learning as much as you can. But yeah, I would say just be more strategic. This is something that I didn't really do as an iOS developer, and not that it hurt. Did it hurt me? I don't know. Did it hurt me? That sounds funny to say, but it's better in the long run. Is what I really want to say. Is doing it that way. It's better in the long run, and it's harder in the short term because I think it might take a little bit longer if you're more strategic because you have to inevitably say no to positions and like applying to certain places because it's not what you want, it's not a right fit, and yeah, that's to be honest, that's gonna be the best in the long run. And there's so many, well, there's not that many, but there's different routes you could take, right? Because you don't have to go the traditional 9 to 5. You could freelance right off the bat. You can try to get a contract too right off the bat. It really depends on what you want your schedule and life to look like, to be honest. You could go to startup. If you want the job route, you can go startup and you can go like a big tech company, or you could go like big service company, like a financial service or some sort of company that has like iOS app because you'll more likely than not you'll learn a lot at any job. The part that will be important is like the culture fit and making sure that you enjoy where you're working, whatever life what is it? Lifestyle balance, work life balance that you want is in position. That just all falls under the being more strategic with where you end up. And in terms of the application process, I would really research the company and again think about what do I want in like the long run. Because that's not something I did and I ended up not at a bad company or even a bad situation, just not in a position I would like to have been. And those are the three main things I would do if I was starting today. An honorable mention or a fourth one I just randomly thought of is ChatGPT. 'Cause when I started, ChatGPT wasn't there. Well, I think it was there, but it wasn't. I think it was in beta still, or it was like it wasn't as good as it is now. But you should definitely be using that. And don't. But of course, don't rely too heavily on that. Don't every don't use it as the holder of all the truth, but definitely use that to speed up your coding process. The next thing I wanted to hit on is when can you actually call yourself a iOS developer? And this kind of pertains to the I know what I talked about earlier because about the coding every day. And let's say you code every day, like you iOS develop, quote unquote, for every day for like 10 years. Are you an iOS developer if you don't have a job? Or does getting an iOS developer job make you an iOS developer? That's an interesting question. And that's actually a question I had this discussion when I was on my journey to become a developer with like, I think it was like a career coach in Atlanta. I went to some tech seminar thing or workshop. And it was an interesting conversation because she said, she made an interesting analogy. It was like, what makes somebody a runner? Because are you a runner just because you run? Or is it because you run competitively? Or, and that was just, that was some of the that was part of the analogy. I don't remember the full thing, but that kinda shifted my mindset in a way. I was like, "Oh, wait, you really can just be an iOS developer whenever you feel like it." Well, not really, but whenever you kinda believe and you have, like, the what's it called? Like, the supporting evidence to back up that belief, then you are pretty much a developer. Like, let's say you have a few apps on the App Store, maybe even one. You can call yourself an iOS developer. And maybe somebody is listening to this and screaming, talking about you are not an iOS developer unless da, 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 da." But let me know what you think makes somebody an iOS developer because I don't think there's a real answer to that. Because when somebody gets a job as an iOS developer, but that's very, very there's a bunch of very good iOS developers without iOS developer jobs right now. Are they iOS developers? Like let's say is Dan O'Leary an iOS developer? Is he? So that's just something to think about if you're on the journey and you're an aspiring iOS developer, is maybe you already are one, you just don't even know it. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys for watching this. If you watch this, no interview this time, no talking to somebody, just me. Let me know down below what you thought of this episode. If you want more solo episodes, if you hated this, let me know too. Um, I'll listen to feedback. Let me know what you hated about it. And also, if you like this episode, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. You know, all the mumbo jumbo. And let me know what other topics you would like to see in a future solo episode. Oh, maybe I'll show some of the things I've done while traveling here. I haven't done too much. Well, yeah, I haven't done too much. Just been out in nature, to be honest. Haven't partied yet. Maybe in Medellin. Maybe I'll do that one night. But I don't know. I feel like my old. I'm just. I'm not saying I'm an old man, but I be going to bed early, so you're like, why? Why am I gonna party? But now I'm rambling through this outro. Shout out to whoever's made it this far. I hope you have a good day and keep coding. Just just keep coding, man. Just record every day until you drop. I am dragging out this outro. This is probably terrible for retention. I'm sorry, y'all. This is what happens on a solo episode. I don't know how to shut up. But all right, y'all. Love y'all.